Hello, and thank you for joining me today. I'm your host, Gal Swisa Cohen. 3 years ago, my family and I moved to Long Island with a clear mission to serve as a living bridge between the people of Israel and the incredible community here. Out of this journey, I created The Israeli Bond, a podcast designed to tell the story of Israel and its people beyond the headlines. We are here for the authentic, the personal, and the direct stories that bring us all together. This podcast is a production of the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center of Nassau County, New York. And it is thanks to their vision and support that this content is brought to you today. And let's begin with my special guest of today, Omry Sitner.
Hello.
Hi, Omry. So Omry is the founder, entrepreneur, and operator with a passion for building businesses that combine innovation with real human connection. He is the founder of Cockpit AI, an agentic acquisition platform, and the co-founder of Am Israel Chai, a modern premium tea brand that brings together culture, lifestyle, and a strong sense of home. Previously, Omry held leadership roles at Monday.com, helping drive growth at scale. Originally from Israel and based in New York City now, he is passionate about turning bold ideas into community-driven businesses. When he's not on business calls or brewing tea, you'll find him running in Central Park. And he is about to complete all 6 world marathon majors. This is a major event. Very, very soon, right?
Yep. Flying out tomorrow.
So good luck.
Thank you very much.
And let's start with my first question today. So Omry, looking at your bio, everything seems so calculated. Monday.com, and then an AI startup, world marathons, everything super, super, calculated, well planned. But then comes October 7th.
Yep.
And I want to take you back into this day. What do you remember from this day?
It's a good question because October 7th was actually the day I was supposed to start working on my startup. That was like the first day that was like about to go to work after I quit my previous job. The night before October 6th, I go to bed, like making sure that everything is ready for the morning. And then like we all remember, we woke up to the sirens and everything that transpired and the horrific attacks. I actually slept through the first sirens.
So you were in Israel?
I was in Israel. I was in my apartment in Tel Aviv. I slept through the first round of sirens, and I woke up to the second alarms at 7:30 a.m. Saw that I had about 5,000, unread messages, like unanswered calls from my parents, my friends asking me if I was okay because I was not responding to anybody. I didn't know what was going on. I thought it was just a mistake, and then I opened the TV and saw everything that happened, and I realized that a startup is not being built today. With all the shock and all the videos that came in and all the sadness, like my head was wrapped around, okay, what can I do to help? I'm like, I cannot go to work. I'm not starting a business today, but what can I do? So I gave a call to Roy and Eran, the founders and CEOs of Monday.com, and I was like, put me to work. What can I do? And I found myself at the War Room in Tel Aviv, building, or at least helping to build the platform that helped finding or locating missing people.
Wow.
And that's what I did for the next few weeks until things started to clear out a bit. But
so that was like an initiative that of you and some people from Monday.com that just like citizens initiative to find missing people.
Yep. So we built the software that helped other organizations and other people who just decided to volunteer to then go and locate missing people. We were in conversations and calling as many people as possible to try to understand, and obviously in contact with the IDF, trying to understand where people are. And then some of them, they left their phones at the Nova Music Festival or in all the kibbutzim. and just ran away. So we were there to like help find them and then bring them back to their families and loved ones. And yeah.
You know, this is not what our podcast is gonna. We're not supposed to speak about that on the podcast, but I love that you brought it up because it also tells the story how when everything happened on October 7th, and basically every time there's a big crisis in Israel, how personal initiatives of regular people using whichever tools they have, whichever, in this case, Monday.com, a software that already knows how to organize projects and then people together and shift it into a greater cause.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty about the Israeli people. We come together in times of crisis.
I agree.
Yeah, and we'll do whatever it takes to help each other out and make sure that everybody is safe. And that's the beauty of being Israeli, and versus pretty much anyone else. But that's why I love our people so much and why I love home so much.
I agree with you. But let's move forward from that. So you're doing it for a couple of weeks, and then what happens?
So I'm doing it for a couple of weeks. I then finally things, obviously there was a war that was going on, but things were calming down on the missing people front, and everybody was like kind of figuring out how to transfer a lot of the equipment that the IDF needed, and a lot of the, there was a lot of food that we needed to supply. And once these processes were already in place, I could take a step back, and I was finally able to start, building my own business and my own startup. And that's when I moved to New York.
Ah, okay.
I decided that it would be the right thing for me to build it here. And I moved here. And then a few months later, my good friend from school, Ella Kenan, came to visit. And, we obviously went for drinks because we've been friends for a while. We went to school together. We did Birthright Excel together. So we've always been like really involved in the Jewish and Israeli community. Bringing people together is something that both of us did. And she told me about how she posted Am Yisrael Chai on Twitter. And obviously before October 7th, she was, she had a travel and lifestyle business. She was a very well-known figure on social media. And that one, tweet, Am Yisrael Chai, really led to hundreds of people blaming us Jews for culturally appropriating the chai tea from the Indians, which is ridiculous because chai is, just another synonym for tea, and it comes from China. So there's no real connection to India except for the masala chai, which is a specific type of tea coming from India. And that kind of like sparked an idea for us because we've known for a while that we're going to do something together. We just didn't know exactly what, and didn't know exactly when would be the right time. And that moment when, she posted that tweet and then people started saying how we culturally appropriate tea, that's when we decided that it's time to bring our visions to life and kind of like join forces. And
I must say about Ella, like she's not with us on the podcast today, but she's a very known figure, and also she used her power, the social media power that she had, and all the reach that she got, to advocate for Israel this entire time.
For sure. So right after October 7th, as soon as it happened, she decided to kind of like put aside her travel and lifestyle business, and she started an organization called Bright Mind. And what they do is to fight the influence campaign that's been very carefully planned and executed by Qatar, Iran, Russia, and other countries, and also pretty much to expose all the lies that are being spread about Israel and Jewish people on a minute-by-minute basis, pretty much on social media. And that's what she's been doing in the past almost 3 years since everything started. And she has done tremendous work. And her influence on our lives was just like beyond, anything else I've seen. So I'm very lucky to have her as a friend.
So I'm sure. So when she's posting Am Yisrael Chai, many people exposed to this.
Hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions of people, are exposed to it because she has a huge following. And that
So
leads
she gets a lot of hate also,
a
I
lot
guess.
of hate all the time.
Regardless to what she posts, basically.
Yep. Just the fact that she's Israeli already is a good enough reason for her to get hate on social media. And that one little post, like tweet, was beyond anything else. We were surprised by the amount of emotion that Am Yisrael Chai tweet just like brought to her social media account. So
Which is ridiculous. Like everyone that knows a little bit, like it's close in some sort of way to a Jewish community knows that Am Yisrael Chai is almost like, just a phrase that you say to the air so often, this is why it's so ridiculous. So now I get it. Like it's a very great joke. And then take me to the moment that you decided to create this business together.
Yeah. So we were talking about it at that bar in the city, and we jokingly said, because we knew we were going to do something together at some point, but then we jokingly said, well, if we're already getting, or if Ella is already getting all that hate, why don't we just start a company called Am Yisrael Chai instead of Am Yisrael Chai? And it took us 3 seconds. We first were laughing at it, and then we just looked at each other and let's do it. So we decided to go for it, but we from day one said, if we're doing it right. We're taking ourselves very seriously. And that's exactly what we did. There's always going to be some sort of a wink or not a joke, but we're going to treat this origin story or refer to it in all the things we do. For example, we launched on April Fool's Day. And we wanted people to think it's a joke, and people actually thought it was a joke. But once they realized that, no, it's not a joke. This is an actual tea brand that we source all our ingredients and all our spices from the origin countries where the teas we choose to sell come from. And we work with factories and manufacturers here in the US. And we had tea tasting events to make sure we sell the right blends and tea that people actually like and will buy. And we work with influencers, and we do a lot of social media content. And once people realized it's a thing and not an actual joke, they fell in love with it immediately. So now we have this kind of following and a crowd on social media that really goes with us, and wherever we go, and they support us and become a part of our extended family in a way.
So what I don't understand, because looking at your bio again, so you're coming from high tech.
Yep.
And you said, I want to open something with my very good friend from school, which I get.
Mm-hmm.
I get when you find someone that is very talented, and I'm sure that Ella is very talented, I can see. So you want to do something together. I get that. But you're coming from high tech. This is a completely different area of retail. And not only retail, it's kind of a food retail. So it's inside of the retail industry, it's a very, very niche sort of thing. I wonder, where's the courage to do it and how you pull it up?
Well, the courage comes from, who I am and who Ella is as people. We both were always going kind of even though you said at the beginning, everything seemed planned. And my life is very planned. I train for marathons, and I have my tech career lined up. Both Ella and I are two people who always went against, expectations. And we both like change, and we both, when we decide something, we'll just do whatever it takes to make it happen. So that's, the courage is kind of built within the two of us. There's also a big connection to Israel for the two of us. I mean, both of us care deeply about the country. Both of us have been socially active within the Israeli and Jewish community for years. I used to work with the Jewish Agency. I also lived in LA doing, work for the Jewish Agency in Los Angeles. And then after coming back, I kept working with them. And both Ella and I did Birthright Excel, where we both led programs for young Jewish people coming to Israel to bring them together and bring the two communities, Israelis and Americans, together, and strengthen that, connection to home, connection to Israel among the Jewish community here in the United States. So both of us care deeply about that. Both of us come with enough business experience, and the idea of starting a business in like a world or like an industry that we're not really familiar with didn't scare us because we knew we can take it. Like we can like take on anything. It's a challenge and we love challenges. So we just learned it from scratch. And like, thankfully we have ChatGPT today that can like help us at least start or get started with like where to even like look for that information. And that's what we did. We just like sat down together. We started meeting on a weekly basis, twice a week, studying this field from scratch. And it took us a couple months, but then we figured it out. And it was a lot of trial and error, but it was worth it.
Really?
Yeah.
So I want you to explain me a little bit. How's the everyday looks like when creating this business of premium tea?
So it starts with the blends or like what the idea behind the brand is. Both Ella and I love traveling. Both Ella and I love tea more than coffee. Both Ella and I love Israel. And both Ella and I knew that there is an opportunity here to build a business that can eventually, it's a business, it's for profit. But we know we can use that to really make a big difference and influence the way people see Israel. And we decided to do it in a couple ways. We'll talk about that in a second, but like it starts with the brand. Like what's the idea behind the brand? We knew that to bring our passion for travel and cultures around the world, and also how do we connect cultures and bring them together and bring them to people's homes, we chose cultures that both Ella and I visited, or like either of us visited, and were super like captivated by. We wanted to make that more accessible to people and kind of like bring that to people's homes without them having to travel to those destinations. So that's how we started with the blends. We chose Sri Lanka, we chose India, like Mumbai as one of the locations, and Marrakesh. Ella's family comes from Marrakesh. And these are the three cultures we started with. And then we started researching the spices and the blends. What are like the local spices that we must include in our blends? Then we started understanding, okay, how can we source them? Do we have manufacturers here in the United States that work with local facilities in those locations and can source the spices for us and then blend it according to our formulas? And then once we found those, we moved on to the brand. But there's one thing that we always like had in mind is like, how do we support Israel and how do we connect that to Israel? And we do this in two ways. One, obviously, our brand is called Israel Chai. And it says it on, the box. The logo has a Jewish star, the Star of David in it. But then also we decided that from day one till forever, pretty much, we're going to donate 10% of our profits to rebuilding communities in the Western Negev, Otef Aza, and support the victims of October 7th, because both of us care so deeply about that. Ella's dad is one of the people who built Kfar Aza.
Wow.
Yep. So
didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's just like, it's a mission that's so close to our hearts that we just had to do it. And that's how we built it. Then thankfully Ella is like a, social media genius. So creating content around it was not the hardest job to do. Still, we still need to figure out what works, what doesn't. But we realized that like by creating a lifestyle beverage brand, like a tea brand that's around lifestyle, travels, cultures, we were able to influence the way people see Israel or think about Israel in such a positive way, because a lot of our customers are not even Jewish.
Oh, that's interesting. That was actually one of my questions. So when you call your brand Am Israel Chai, I would assume that it's mostly targeted to Jews or Israelis, but you're saying no, completely not. Like there's more, you have like a larger consumer base, right?
Yep. Our goal was to like create a brand that will reach the broadest amount, or the broadest audience possible, the most amount of people. And we knew that to do this, yes, we'll have Israel in our name. We have the Jewish star in our logo, but it's not going to be like Israel in your face. We want to be able to get to as many people as possible, get them to like the product, get them to like the brand and the story behind it, so that when we do bring Israel into the table, and that when we do post about it and we speak about Israel, their feelings or the way they think of it is so positive that they'll start supporting our cause and they'll start, seeing Israel in a way that's different than what's presented to them on social media or media in general. And
I agree with that, and I like this point of view. But still, the name of the product is Am Israel Chai.
yep,
When in days that people sometimes hesitant to say they're from Israel or bring up the word Israel because all of a sudden it became political. I don't know, like it's just a country. Also there are some places, even Jews are like afraid to say that they are Jews. So do you think it also hurt a little bit, like the sales that you could have had? If not that, maybe you've thought maybe you should do it like in some different way, maybe disguise like the Israel and then serve them the Israeli. I wonder how what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a great question because Ella and I, first of all, were asked about it quite a bit, and also like we ourselves had internal discussions of like how do we want to treat this, because it is an issue. I will say that both Ella and I decided unanimously that there is no way we are going to be afraid of saying we're from Israel. We're not going to hide our Israeli identity. We're proud Israelis, and there's no reason for us to hide it. If people don't like the fact that we have Israel in our name, they don't have to buy our tea, and it's totally fine. Like, we care about creating amazing tea that people love, but then also supports our home and the way people see our home. And if we were hiding our Israeli origin or Israeli culture, or the fact that we're from a country called Israel, it should not be political whatsoever, but unfortunately it is. We're not going to hide it, so people are not going to care. That's the way we saw it.
Yeah.
And it's proven to be right so far. It's not that we've never encountered anti-Semitism. We get hate on social media all the time.
Really?
The amount of life threats and death wishes that we get on social media is increasing by the day. I can tell you that people working for organizations like UPS, USPS, FedEx, when they see Israel, they sometimes make sure that our customers will have a hard time getting their deliveries.
Really?
Yep. And none of it will stop us. There's like no way that's going to stop us.
I love it. I want to talk about the blends.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned that the blends are related to places that you've traveled to,
right,
like Marrakesh, Sri Lanka, and as like you can see here, Marrakesh, Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
I can see
there's a masala chai as well from Mumbai,
and also masala chai from Mumbai.
your favorite.
Yeah, my personal favorite.
Yep.
But there's also some funny stories. You have another blend that you haven't brought here, but it's
it's in the works right now. We're actually launching it in 2 weeks from now.
No, I'm talking about the watermelon.
Oh, the watermelon. Yeah, it's true. It's our summer edition. Yeah. So obviously after October 7th, with everything that happened here in the United States, the pro-Palestinian movement decided to culturally appropriate the watermelon and say that this is the fruit that represents the Palestinian flag the most, because obviously with all the hate they were spreading, they needed a way to disguise that hate. And for some reason they chose watermelon because it's green, white, and red. And we decided to kind of like poke them in the eye. Watermelon is my favorite fruit, and it's such a great summer, drink, watermelon. And we came up with a watermelon iced chai for specifically the summer. And it's been going amazing. The reactions have been incredible.
And no one understands really.
Nobody understands.
The joke.
That's the thing. Nobody understands. But yeah, it was that's what I was mentioning earlier about making fun of the situation, but like in a subtle way. So we poke everybody in the eyes and they have no idea, which is great.
Yeah.
So we did that, which was a huge success. And now we're actually coming up with another blend that's coming up next in 2 weeks, called Socotra. Socotra is an island in Yemen. Obviously, we know that Yemen is now, unfortunately, controlled by the Houthis, terror organization. And they did not like one of Ella's posts about Socotra. She has a travel blogger and a travel lifestyle business owner posted about it, and they didn't like it. So she got life threats from the leader of the Houthis, and he's no longer with us, thankfully. But we decided to poke them in the eyes once again, and we're coming out with a blend called Socotra, inspired by the dragon tree. That's a very cultural, it's their like signature tree in Socotra. So it's again influenced by the culture. I'm half Yemenite as well, so it's definitely something we're excited for, and it's actually a really good blend. So I'm excited for you to try it. But
I will.
It's,
I'm sure I will.
That's coming up in just 2 weeks from now.
Amazing. And okay, so we're about to close this episode, and I wonder, what's next for you?
We have a lot actually going on, which is amazing. I never thought, knock on wood, this has been picking up very, very quickly, and we're now trying to think, okay, what can we do to really expand, not just for the sake of the business, but also so we can like help support Israel on like a much longer basis, but then also like in, greater ways. So we are now, we have a few things lining up. We're now working on some collaborations. We just launched a collaboration with Iron Dome Coffee. We are now launching next week. We're launching our very first collaboration partnership with an Israeli coffee chain called Café Landwehr. So we're their official tea suppliers across the United States, hopefully beyond that as well in the near future. And to help people support, we got a lot of emails from people saying, how can we support further? So we're launching our subscription model where you can just get tea delivered to your door on a monthly or bi-monthly basis. And this is how you can support Israel on a longer term basis. There's a lot coming up, which is great. And we're excited to see where we can take this. We have more blends coming up. We have, so many things lined up.
This sound really, really exciting. And I want to tell you on a personal note that I was so excited that you agreed to come to this podcast and speak to me, because I feel that your story has so many layers that are so exciting for me as Israeli, and also as someone that always looks at the bond between Israel and the States. First of all, the fact that you took something that like hate, and you said, I'm not going to fight hate with more hate. I'm just going to laugh at it and fight it with good premium blends and very good taste. And I love this way of fighting.
Thank you. Light will always win.
I agree. Also, the fact that you took a business, a for-profit business, but you you took a for-profit business, but you managed to also do good with that. Not only enlarge pockets, as we say in business, but also do good with that, which is always amazing. And generally, the fact that a person just decided that he wants to do good, and this initiative and that spreads out and spread the story of Israel and puts Israel on a shelf of people in their home. I love it. I love this story. And thank you so much for letting me present this story to the world today.
Thank you for having me. And I just hope that we get to do much more good, in the upcoming future, and that light will win. And please, if I can ask one thing from people, do not be afraid to say you're Jewish. Do not be afraid to show your Jewish star that you're wearing. I'm wearing one right now. And do not be afraid to say you're from Israel, because we need to be proud of where we are. We need to be proud of, the way, our journey so far in the last almost 80 years as a country and as people. And we've done some amazing things. We've brought so much good into this world. Let's not hide it.
I'm with you. I totally agree. So thank you so much for coming here today. And thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Israeli Bond on hmTv. I want to thank again my guest, Omry Sitner, for telling us the entire story of how he co-founded I'm Israel Chai, which is a premium tea brand. And if you don't know it, go to Instagram. You'll love the lifestyle and everything about it and the taste. And if you enjoy exploring the information, history, and stories of today's conversation, be sure to check out our other podcasts here on hmTv. Please subscribe, share, and stay connected for more engaging conversations. Until next time, take care and be well.